how are you liking the program? Heard of it somewhere? You implement it in your daily work? Okay, never heard of it? Anyone who's heard of it before know what it is? Cool. Alright, cool. So we'll start from the basics then. We'll go to do you think it's too dark here? Should I turn on the lights? Some basic fundamental principles of lean. So just a show of hands, how many of us have heard the concept of lean? Know what it is? Anyone? Do you want to give a brief of whatever you...
In terms of the lean game per se, but... not in terms of the lean...
Sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, is that on? Yeah.
And not in terms of the lean game, but the kind of process which we used to do in terms of one of the organizations that I work. It's called a lean company process,
okay.
Where you primarily address the most essential things in the entire process development. That's the one which gets followed for the projects, the product which you want.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
I'll talk about the lean startup thing.
Sure.
So it's about getting a quick feedback, coming out with a minimum viable product, or maybe not, but getting a quick feedback from your customer,
okay,
from the end user. So that's
sounds logical. Okay, so we very beautiful cars that we see today, right? Really expensive as well, most of them. So Henry Ford is known as the father of mass production. What does that mean, right? So automobile was discovered by in some 18 something, right? But it was really expensive for a common man to really have an automobile to drive. What Ford did, he discovered the conveyor belt, or the assembly line concept. What that means is in a row, exactly the way you guys are standing today, a product gets built in steps. So if we say the product is starting from beam 1, that side, then you build on it and you push it to the next station. The next station adds something on it, you push it to the next station. That's essentially what a production line is, isn't it? Right? So Henry Ford he actually mastered the conveyor belt system, in which what that helps is being able to produce for a mass, right? You can produce, essentially took that conveyor belt, and he said, okay, I'm going to use that in Japan to actually manufacture automobiles, right? So he actually used all of the learnings that Ford gave, and he created the mass production system in Japan for automobiles. But the problem there was Japan was in dire state after the World War. They didn't have a lot of money, so they could not afford to have a lot of inventory to be able to do mass production. So that's when Toyotas, they thought of the lean process, right? They thought of how can we cut all possible waste, how can we think differently so that I can produce a lot of automobiles and make it available to Japan. And again, the world-class cars that we see today, the same people. So what he said is eliminating waste is the most fundamental learning that we should have, and that goes not only to production. So as we're going through this game, try and see how we can relate learnings from here to waiting for some process to finish, right? So if you're doing something and you're waiting for them to finish, it's essentially waste. So he brought out these concepts. So this is great, it sounds fine, but what's the hard part is actually identifying and eliminating waste, okay? And that's what we're going to try and solve by this game today. And we're also what went well, what didn't go well, and then we're going to learn and adopt and use those learnings for the next iteration. Simple? Alright, so I already spoke about a production line. This is exactly what we're doing, right? Each of you all are stations, as is shown there, and each of you all have inventory, right? If you look on your desk, you have Lego bricks. This is all inventory set up. So think that you are actually part of a company, and what we're going to do is we're going to build Lego houses, okay? So we're all part of this company that really needs to make money, and what we're going to build is we're going to build Lego houses. Okay, clear? So yeah, let me just quickly explain how we're standing, right? So that is team 1, station 1, station 2, station 3, station 4. This is one production line, okay? And you guys are another production line, okay? At station 4, we're going to assign a QA. So if both of you all could just decide among yourselves who wants to be the QA, who's going to make sure the house we build is of quality. Just put that tag. So each production line has a QA, right? We need quality. And then comes our customers. Everything that gets built is built for customers. We're selling it to the customer, right? So they are the market. They're going to represent the market. So this is Tushar. So this is the customer for production line 1, and that's Puji. She's customer for production line 2. Okay. So they're important people. You need to impress them however you can. Okay. Another quick thing to remember is the cost. Everything that we build is sold. Every house we build is sold for $25, and each brick, right? Each brick that you see that you use to build that house will cost $1. All right. Measuring success, of course. As we go, we're going to try and mark out whether we made a profit or a loss. So very simply, we're going to see how many other houses sold, and depending on this, we're going to calculate the profit or loss. Okay, so I'm going to stop talking now, and we're going to start playing. That side, right? Similar to production line 2. Rest of you all have a bunch of production Lego bricks. So okay, so let's get started. If you guys can quickly invert the pages that are there on your table. Not that one. No. So you have some instructions written out. Just read through what you need to do. This is your inventory A. You pull out inventory from A. You keep it on your station. You build according to the specifications given to you, both of you, right? I guess that's 2 and 3 and 4, right, for you. You build it and you keep it ready on inventory B, right? So you build and you push here. Is that okay? Yes. You guys, now comes to team 2. Team 2, you need to walk to B. So this is B. You need to walk here, you need to walk there. You pick up what they have made for you. You bring it on your station and you build on it, right? Similarly, that's what, hey, wait. Similarly, you guys. So remember, you walk to the station on your left. Walk to the station on your left, pick up from inventory, take it on your station, build, and keep it ready for the next person on the inventory to your right. Is it confusing?
So what about the existing?
Yes.
What about the inventory that we have?
Yes, so correct, good question. So question is I already have inventory on my right. So you're supposed to use that inventory to build first. Okay? So with the inventory that you currently see on your table, you need to use that to build according to the specifications you have. Okay?
What's the QA staff supposed to do? Just meet?
You tell me, man. You tell me.
I tell you.
Question was what is the QA supposed to do? Okay. I'll give you a quick hint test and make sure it's ready for the customer. Sorry, I'm just kidding. But yeah, the QA is essentially going to test the quality of the house we built and then give it to the customer. Okay, I see question marks. Is it? I think let's start. As we go, we'll be able to. Take it from the next inventory and walk over to your station. Walk over to your. You'll get 2 minutes.
I think you can also use the.
You grab whatever you want from the inventory, bring it on your table, and you start.
Grab more.
different sizes भी हैं तो उसके हिसाब से
Come on, we need to build it fast.
so we keep doing this again and again.
keep taking from the left.
Yes, yes. Take as much inventory as you want.
Inventory and you can't pick it from here. You can't select from it. You take everything there and then.
Oh, okay. We sorry for that.
Yeah. Because otherwise you are helping them. I can't believe it.
Keep it there.
But aren't you going to pay $25 for this?
Continue building, continue building. The more you build, the more money we will make.
No, you put it right. It will be there.
The more you build, the more money we make, the more salary you get.
Can they put it back here? You don't have to do it later on. You just keep sorting whatever.
Hands off your tables, hands off your tables. Okay. So really quickly, we're going to measure success, right? Stop. Okay. Just please calculate how many bricks you have.
Doesn't have to be an exact number. Otherwise it will take 10 minutes.
How many in total? Everything. Okay, 300. How many you have?
Don't be accurate. Just some rough.
Rough estimate first. Okay.
Yeah, you can tell.
200 plus. Really? Wow. 400, 200, 200, 400.
How much do you think?
Around 35.
35. 835. Okay. Production line 2? 500. House is sold. Production line 1. Customer? 0. Customer? 0. Excellent. You guys are fired. Okay, so profit or loss? We're essentially at a loss of, right? Is that right? Excellent, good job guys. Awesome. A lot of waste, but how do you think you did with the task you had in mind?
Yeah, we did quite right actually. We sorted out most of the ways that
Awesome. Okay. So they said that they thought the task at hand was done perfectly, everything was sorted. Sentiments, are the sentiments the same? You guys did an awesome job. Sort, perfect. What about you guys? I can see you also have sorted by what specifications you've given. So you're also happy, like you did your job really well.
We did our job, but I think there is no coordination between the team. The final aim is to create that house, but we are not coordinating between our.
Okay, fair enough. Good,
Don't
very
know
good
like
point.
how they are going to use this.
Correct, very good point. Okay, so I'm going to ignore you all for a minute. You guys, how do you think you guys did?
What we did, what we started wrong was we started using the inventory which was here. So we could have utilized their capacity. That could have we could have built at least something.
Okay. But in terms of building the house that you were supposed to do, how did that go? Were you able to build any house and sell it to the customer?
No, not completely.
Why not?
We were just going through the requirement document and understanding it. So and kind of.
So you didn't get any houses to sell out? Okay. I know you guys did. So how did that go?
We built the house the wrong color. Evil customer didn't tell us the right color.
Everyone got that? So he's saying that the evil customer, very bad Fuji, she didn't like the color they built the house in. Okay? So that's a big problem. Like you guys rightly pointed out, right? So the inventory that got stacked up was essentially a kind of a waste, right? So what essentially happened? What way did we try and build this house? What we did is we predicted the market demand. We just assumed that the market will need a red house or a blue house. So when you guys were sorting, you started sorting in the colors. You pushed it on, you started working the size. When you pulled it and you started working on your specification, you assumed that maybe they need a white house. Or in your case, maybe they need a red house, right? You assumed it, you predicted what the market required without really understanding what the customer wants. did a mass production, right? You kept getting inventory and you kept building on it. I know we never reached there, but essentially in your station, you continued to produce as much as you could without understanding again how much the customer wants. And essentially we achieved economies of scale. So what does that mean? So this is a classic quote that people say about Henry Ford. Build any color, build the car of any color as long as it's black. So what happened in Henry Ford's era is that he had monopoly of building automobiles, right? So essentially whatever he built, he pushed it out to the market, and the customers, the end users, essentially didn't have a choice. So they said, okay, if he's building black, I'm just going to buy it. So there was a monopoly there. The customers didn't have any choice. So such a system, the pull system as they call it, push system as they call it, my bad, it worked in Henry Ford's era. But do you think it will work today? I mean, we have the Hondas and the Hyundais and Toyota and everything, right? So then we have a choice. The customer has a choice of what he wants, and he's going to have a demand. There's always going to be a market demand. You heard comments like it sucked. People really became bored of using it. It wasn't different. It wasn't something that the users really wanted. Again, as QAs, we only think about the requirement document. Are we testing exactly what the document says? Sure. But are we even thinking if what we are building is going to be used by the end users? Probably not. So we'll spend all the money and energy to test a product, but it's never going to be used. In a way, it's kind of waste, right? Okay, so now that we understand that system didn't work too well, let's import it, right? What we're going to do is Pooja and Kushal, our customers, are first going to tell us what the demand is, what the market demand is. They're going to tell us what color house they want. Then we're going to produce what they ask for, and then we're going to adapt accordingly. Okay? Why are we going to do this? We're going to build, or we're going to make only what is needed, only when it is needed, and only in the amount it is needed. Again, a very, very important thing for us to remember in our projects as well. But why are we doing this? So this system is called pull. Let's understand why we're doing this. We're doing it to build exactly what the market demands. Relating it to software, no extra features, right? No fancy features that the users are not going to want. Similarly, to avoid wasted inventory, no partially done work. So what do you think this inventory was? Essentially work in progress, right? We have so many times our requirements are work in progress, and it's essentially a waste. Okay. So what Kanban does is it helps you simulate a pull system. Okay? Think of a Starbucks or a McDonald's. When you go to the cashier, you tell them, I want one cafe latte, or I want 2 hamburgers with blah blah. You know for a fact that it's actually not it's already not cooked for you, right? The coffee is not ready in the back end, in the kitchen. The burgers are not ready. Only when the demand comes in, will they go ahead and start making it. A way how the cashier will indicate to the kitchen that he wants a cafe latte is something like that. There's an indicator on the cup itself. So many times you must see that they just take the cup, they take a cafe latte and give the cup to the kitchen. That's how the kitchen knows that they need to cook or whatever, make a cafe latte. Similarly, this is another way of indicating to your downstream that I want a decaf or any other. Have you seen this in McDonald's? So the Pepsi cups that you get, if you notice next time, they actually have such kind of an indication. So just think about it next time you go to McDonald's. Okay, so what we're going to do, right? We're going to that's your downstream, because that's your customer, so that's your downstream. So if that is the cashier, that is your kitchen. So what we're going to do is only when the customer says, I want a red house, he's going to tell it to these guys. Okay? What that will do is they'll start building a red house over here. Okay? Once they've done that, they're going to pull another red house from here onto their station, and they'll start building it. What that means for you is that you know the red inventory is missing. So that's a Kanban or an indicator to you that, okay, I need to pull in more red inventory. So you go to your station and you only pull up the red inventory. You keep it on your station. You build it and you keep it ready over here. And it'll continue like that. Okay? So for you guys again, since this is empty, you will only pull in red bricks. You do your specification and keep it ready for him. For you guys, you will, again, that will be an indicator for you that she's pulled in the red bricks from here, and you will pull in only from the bucket together, you only pull in the red bricks again. Does that make sense? Yes. So you're going to...
We can't do it.
You don't work until... You don't work... You don't work until your station, your inventory is equal to 11. When you pull it, remember your signal to somebody. So you can sort out. Do you need it all? Okay, then you can't talk. Guys, please don't talk to each other. You hate each other.
No, the next one is going to be yellow, so you don't. Last step. Let's see if our demand is going.
No, that's okay. Let me check it because.
Can you do that?
Alright, guys. I've got a house. My people
Okay,
are so...
Stop. Green is boring. Yellow. Yellow? Yep. Yeah. Chuck green. I don't want green anymore.
There's a sign up for production too. Yay! Yes, go ahead. I don't want to see yellow. Come on, production. Yes,
You changed it. You changed. Yes,
you have about 15 seconds more. Come on, line one, seriously. You guys, seriously. Any color.
Any house actually, yeah.
Multi-color works. Better? Okay, but why do you think better? Minimal wastage, okay. Anyone else? How did it go?
It was pre-planned, so it was better.
Listen. Okay. It was pre-planned. Any thoughts? Any comments?
We know the requirements.
You knew the requirement, okay? Way more? It was more chill. You had time for your other thoughts, okay? What about you guys? How did you?
Well, we built one house relatively trouble-free. We took some extra inventory. Built one house which is accepted by the customer. But then, she was behaving nicely for a while. And then she changed her mind. She said, one more yellow house. In between, she changed it. Can't make up her own mind.
Can the customer? The market demand. Nobody asks me.
And I thought the customer was already
Just about to make, then again the requirement changed.
Okay. I also noticed that you were pulling more inventory even before your first house was done.
We thought we are the two guys who will start building parallelly too.
Did you ask the customer? He needs two greenhouses?
Very good point there. Thanks for sharing. So what they did is they basically stripped the first line and not got any house sign up. What they did is they thought there were two people might build two houses. So they pulled more inventory and they tried to build two houses. As a result, as you can see, a little more waste, a little more inventory, and also no houses signed up. Right? We didn't sell any houses. So if we do a quick check of costs, quickly count just very high investment. How many bricks do you think you have? Six. Okay. How many? 15. 6 and 15. About 15, 6. You guys?
30, 70.
70. Okay.
106.
106. What about you?
Total 160.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
No, not the box. Just what's on your table right now. You did put such $5. How's the source? 1. And that's 120 minus 25. Because one house was $25, right? So 0. 0? 0. I think this inventory is way more than the one behind, but okay. But essentially, right? We did a little better, but there was still waste. There's still some problem. Yes.
So this production line one is finishing iteration 3. This is a timeline for this production.
It was actually you building a house.
Okay.
It's not, yeah. So you have to, you should have built the house within each iteration. Okay? Okay. So what do we think went well? We already saw that there was, it was relaxed, it was, sorry. How can we do, what do we learn from this? How can we make this better? Any thoughts? Without seeing that? Any thoughts of how we could make this better?
Ideal resource can move to next level.
Very good. Ideal resource can move to the other thing.
Maybe building it modules like this. Some parts they are building and then giving it to us, and then they are adding it to it, and then it comes to us and finally give it to us.
Interesting, but wasn't that what we were doing? So those guys had some instructions of sorting. Then they did some more sorting. These guys gave you some specific things, and then it came to you. So essentially, we were
doing the same thing. Maybe all the colors can be at the first two layers.
Okay.
Layer wise, they can build the first 2 layers.
Okay. Fair enough. Any other thoughts? Get rid of the eye. Fire them. Okay, so all of you are done. This is typically a storyboard. If you had just walked around the office, every single project this is how we represent status or what the project currently is at, right? What does that mean? So we keep some backlog ready, which is ready for dev. This is typically analyzed and perfectly ready, all specifications written out. This is in dev. So once you have a dev resource free, he goes over to the backlog, picks up the highest priority. So this is always arranged by priority, highest priority being on top. He puts in the queue, he continues working on it. Okay? He works on it, and then once he's done, he pushes into the QA queue. Right? Very typical. So, just curious, how do you, in each of your organizations, how do you manage this? How do you measure what a project status is at? What is the status of a project? Because I don't know. Anyone? And the done, yes. Perfect. So yeah, something similar to what we do as well. Anyone else in a non-agile? So, but how will the QA know when to pick up things?
It starts like sprint your story.
Right.
One whole bunch.
Oh yes, absolutely. Okay, cool. Thank you.
We are working in agile environment. So for one user story, they assign for one user story, one developer, one QA. They assign the task.
Okay.
They
And
follow all.
they finish it.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Cool, thank you. Just putting limits, right? So this is limiting the work in progress. There are many parameters involved to actually come up with the number, how much this number over here. It's a lot of analysis, which is probably a whole other discussion. But essentially the point is that you limit it. So when, say that in this particular queue, or in the QA, only 2 story cards can be present at any given point of time. So if such a situation arises where another story card comes, dev, even though he can pick up another card, he doesn't, but he essentially wears the hat of QA and he helps out to clear the bottleneck. Very similar, and we follow this very rigorously in most of our projects here, and it really helps to make sure the flow is very smooth and everything goes out, because you can't have the QAs overworking, right? I mean, that's not the solution. It won't be sustainable. And then we come to unevenness. The QAs are working on the devs are just very, so it's uneven. So this is how we can relate it to software. Okay, so one of the things that you were talking about, just a couple of things to keep in mind. Just 1 second back.
From inventory, then the main table can start. Yes. On all this, or maybe process, and then after you first position, what is required. That mainly
Put a thought that is that the right way, and then we rethought, and we finally came to the conclusion of having 2 tables building houses in parallel. So in a sense we are having 2 production lines, but it's not a line actually, production clusters.
Work cells.
Okay, and that's what. So we're having one person to coordinate with the customer, and we're having 2 work cells.
Okay, and how are you dividing the work amongst yourself? How are you leveling that out?
The components are divided.
Yeah.
Each one makes a component as well.
Okay, fair enough.
So there will be about 4 people per table, right?
Okay.
4 or 3.
Perfect. Okay, so that's what you think. Let's see how we go with
Okay.
that. We'll do a quick game with that as well. Any thoughts from this production line?
So basically, we have also divided it into components. The first table will take care of the inventory lineup, and then other tables will be start building according to the components. So we have divided the components into three teams.
Okay. Okay.
So
And how many sections are you going to divide yourself into, or are you just all together?
Initially, we'll go together, but afterwards we'll be utilizing all the 4 tables.
Okay. Is your team clear with who's doing what? Your team is clear? Okay. A document, we need to do this, we need to do that. So obviously steps, what needs to be built, obviously you need to tell them, but how you want to do it was never specified to the employees. Their thought was that you need to use the intellect of your most ordinary employee to make your systems as efficient as possible, right? And another thing they always encourage, right? The boss said that if the worker doesn't improve his process every day, he's not working. So it doesn't matter how many houses you really build. What matters is how you build it the most efficient way every single day. So again, keep that in mind, not just today, but obviously it sounds logical, right? It's just something that we don't think about when we're working. We get into the rut of building. So yeah, that's something called Kaizen, and try and see how you can implement this in your work in your work life as well. Okay.
Okay.
Right. We didn't start getting it because you know where I am. You don't need that.
You don't have to do anything of that sort. This is the inventory. You get it out, right? So where the assistant? Where the volunteers? They're not supposed to use that box.
No, they can use any box they want.
Use whatever inventory.
Whatever is on your table will be counted as your inventory. So just if you can put only whatever
I need the 4 ones. 4 ones? Yeah.
8 ones. 4 ones is 6 or 3 other. 6 not required. 6 or 8? 8 you can print. You know the stakes? You can just post it.
Yeah, sorry, I already have.
Blue.
Yeah, no.
3 green.
So now, the next step is 2, 2, 4. 1 more.
What have you built?
Wow, does not have a white house.
Is that right?
don't know. Maybe Shaquille O'Neal or something would climb that house, not me. I'm too short to climb that house, so the stairs are not proper. Okay, yeah, that's about it. So I cannot. Sorry, where is Vishal?
And hey, customer, come on. So
Yeah.
basically, you're filing this.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You haven't got anything.
Yeah. I'm just buying blankets and living on the street. Not working. You guys.
Okay, Pooji,
No, nothing.
customer 2, how did you all do?
Fabulous. My team made a red house and a blue house, which were my earlier demands. They didn't make my Obama White House, but otherwise I'm happy.
Okay, very nice, very nice. Okay, 15, and how was sold 0? But still, not bad. What about you guys?
20.
20.
These guys put some pieces back.
20.
So bad.
20, and we sold 2 houses.
At least my team is honest.
So they're making a profit of?
5.
Awesome, guys. Good stuff. Okay. So clearly that went well. But in your case and also in your case, I'm sure there's lots that we can improve on, right? Remember, continuous improvement. No one has a solution. It's always trying and thinking of how you can improve it a little more. Within both you guys. Was there something you did? Okay, what was it?
Well, I checked before giving. I just checked before giving to the customer.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Took about a minute.
It took a minute. Okay, fair enough. What about you guys?
When we compared to the requirement that we had before we approached the client.
Okay, so you build the house, you compare it with the requirement, you basically tested it with the requirements and you move it ahead. Okay. Okay, so when I spoke about building quality in, right, I think it's very profound to try and think of how every workstation, that means each and every one of you, when you're building something, you actually test it before you move it ahead, right? I mean, it shouldn't be the onus of your QA manager or your QA at the right end, because if it fails, then the feedback, the loop is really big. You're going to spend that much money to actually get that back, do some code on it to fix it. It's going to cost you money, right? So it might just make sense to test it before you move it on. So one way of doing that is intelligent automation. Okay, so automation we all understand, but what's important here is doing it intelligently. Having 100% test coverage does not ensure that you don't have bugs in production, right? So what we in the process of creating the loop, if one single thread broke, the whole system just stopped, right? So you stop the production line at the advent of even the smallest bug, you fix it and then you move ahead. So such a thing is called handle line, which is if there's anything goes wrong, right, you essentially stop your production line, fix it, and only move on then. Because we do understand that fixing it when it's at the very end is costly, right? Why would we do this? Stop it automatically if anything irregular happens. A way of doing it is error proofing of code. Okay, try and read about these things. It's again a long conversation to talk about. Why are we doing that? So that we don't produce defects. Defects also form a type of waste, right? And build it right the first time. Anyone knows what this is? So again, something that we do very often at ThoughtWorks is all your automation tests are actually done with the CI or continuous integration server. Right? Why? Because what this is doing is it's progressing builds from one environment to the other. So from your DevOps to your QA to your UAT to your production, right? So you can see that everything is passed in the first one, but in this particular one, it failed. One test failed. So what this does is it doesn't progress your build to the next environment at all. Right? It fails right there. You know something's wrong in there. You go fix it before you can progress to QA and UAT and production. So that the cost is lesser. So this is one way that we can think of automating intelligently and stopping the production line. Simple tools, again try and read about these things, but very simple things to when you find a defect, what you can do. Use 5 whys to think about the root cause of the problem. Don't just fix it superficially. One piece flow, analyze the situation. Okay, so coming back to the waste part of it, we saw that there are few wastes that we saw in our production line, which is manufacturing. And if we happen to go mapping to the software, this is what essentially it would be, right? So the lead software development book by Mary and Tom Portending, it's a very, very good book to make you think about what are the ways you should try and see in your daily software projects so that you can avoid them and go as lean as possible.
You mentioned defects. What about warnings? Any mapping?
What warnings?
Some sort of warnings, like QA process, automation process, agile process, process engineering.
Yeah.
Any warnings?
I'm not sure.
Maybe we can discuss offline.
Okay, let's discuss offline. Okay, so that's pretty much what I had. I know you guys are tired. I'm really sorry. It's probably coffee in the pantry. But I hope you guys have taken away some learnings, at least a thought process where you can go and